All right, guys, episode number 53 with Mr. Joe Weiss and his boy Kevin Weiss. Father-son episode. Trust me, wait till the end. Listen to us talk about pig grabs. It's a good one. Don't forget, these episodes are brought to you by Old Man Copper Smoke Eater Mustache Wax. As you think about house fires all day long, smells amazing. Discount code COPPER, COPPER, saves you 20%. And the boys Hasgard, the best gear bag on the market. Same discount code, saves you 10%. Remember, Copper, COPPER. And a special shout out to Ragtop, provided structural gloves and extrication gloves to the cadre so we can continue training in our state. Love you, boys. Sit down, enjoy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow. Please leave a comment if you can. Helps drive us to the top. With that, on to you, Mr. Joe Weiss, and my boy, Kevin Weiss. Welcome back. This is a big one. I'm sitting down with our president of our Fools organization, but really who we're here to talk about is his old man, Popped, Mr. Joe Weiss. So let me tell you about this man, active in the volunteer fire service for 38 years in Ohio. His fire department is 100% volunteer. That's kind of a rarity nowadays. He's held the rank from lieutenant, then captain, back to fireman to allow the younger members to assume more responsibility. Joe's mentored and developed firefighters since the beginning of his career. He's a co-founder and the previous chair of the Junior Firefighter Program. Joe is a husband of 50 years, proud father of 3 with 5 grandkids. Joe's worn many hats over the years, building houses, tire repairman, and a member of the streets, retiring as a public works director. It is my privilege to have you, Mr. Joe Weiss, on the show, accompanied by his boy, Kevin Weiss, our president of the Fools Program. Welcome. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mr. Joe, or anything I mispronounced or misled the audience on in your bio, sir?
Yeah, I guess just the 50-year thing, you just touched on that. We literally, my wife, Sherry, puts up with me for 50 years of doing this for 38 years, but we got married right out of high school and never looked back. And she's put up with a lot of crap and helped produce this guy. And my daughters, and proud of them too, and everything at home, and my grandkids, and life's good.
Thank you for taking time out of your evening. You're freaking at the fire hall. The guy sitting next to you just can't get away from the fire service. He comes home to visit his pops, and then we're sitting down talking about firemanship in a fire hall. I can't think of anything better. You said you were with your wife forever. High school sweethearts. Did you know her before you got in the fire service? How did that kind of play out, boss?
Oh, yes. Met her freshman in high school. I had to make one phone call for one date and never wanted to do that again. So I found a good one and just stuck with her. And she put up with it. The fire service didn't start until I was 30. So.
Okay, so I was thinking, because you're back in the day, even though if you were able to call her, if you had to send a telegram, I wasn't quite sure how that worked.
Yeah, it was a lot. She lived 12 miles away, and it was a long distance phone call on a dial phone.
People don't remember these rotary phones, right? For the guys can watch. All right, so you found the fire service at 30. The department that you volley with, in your intro, we went through all the ranks that you've held. When did that little spark happen? You said it was later on in life. So at 30, you're like, hey, I want to join the fire service? Or was it a buddy that you wanted to join the house with? How did that play out, boss?
It was just a guy asked me, our chief at the time, I just know him, and I was actually doing tire work for him. I did the tires. I sold truck tires, and I serviced truck tires, and I took care of the firehouse. And I was always interested in a little bit. I'd come here and change the tire, not that often, maybe once a year. And the chief asked me, I was about 30 years old, and say, hey, would you be interested in getting on? I said, yeah, I don't know much about it. And I said, right now I've got a baby at home, and my wife is expecting the second one. I said, she's not going to be real thrilled about it, but he asked me, and I jumped on board. And
the rest is history. I know you did a lot of stuff. I really want to get into the culture and the call volume and what you've kind of done through your careers. I know in your bio we talked about, so I want to hit this first. You started the juniors program. Can you explain to the audience what that is? Volunteers aren't a big thing out here. I was a fireman back east, so I understand. I came from there. pretty much all the departments around us are combination departments for the most part. Some are volley strong, some are volley just on paper that don't exist. You're 100% volunteer. Is that juniors program? Was that designed to boost your volunteer applicants, or how did that come around? How did you start it, and what was the benefit for the fire service?
It started because of him. Here, all the other neighboring departments, our mutual aid departments, all had it already, and we was one of the last ones to get it. And he was raised here. He'd come up to the firehouse. We, any training nights or anything wasn't official on Saturdays. We used to meet up here in trucks and things. And he was just basically raised here and wanted to get on. And I thought, heck, instead of waiting until you're 18 and can be voted on, the other towns around there have junior programs. And so I kind of checked with a couple of the neighboring departments, and they gave me the literature to get it started. And, everybody passed it and said it was good, and he got on. And I think that one thing, I don't know if he told me the best day of his life was when the juniors wear a blue helmet. When he got his blue helmet and got on the department, the second best day was when he got rid of that and got his black helmet. And we got on, voted on and on with us.
Yeah, the juniors are, to be a junior, you have to be 16. And then there's like parameters. So I got on at 16 as a junior, and then I got my own pager and turnouts and, like he said, the blue helmet. And then we had parameters where when they got a fire call, I could respond, but I didn't have lights and sirens. I was supposed to wait, I think it was 5 minutes after the page to respond so I don't get in the way. And then when I showed up, I could jump on a truck if there were seats available, as long as it wasn't first out. And then basically when we got there, I could do anything but go interior.
To be a junior, did you have to have like Fire One? Because, and the only reason I'm asking, so back east, the volleys were like, hey, to be a volley, or to be riding the rig, they had to be a Fire One. To go interior, they had to have their Fire One and their Fire Two. Was that kind of similar with you guys, or no?
So I didn't have any formal cert. I was just, but it's kind of similar to our cadet program out in AZ, where it's like, dip your toes in the water. Is this something that you're interested in? Get familiar with the equipment. And then I think while I was in high school, it's the same cert that he still has. We called it the 36-hour card. And it was a 36-hour class. And then you're a firefighter. And that's it. So it was, I think, 4 Saturdays is what I did. I don't know what you did years ago.
Yeah, it was 36. And then back then, I think you had to do 36, then your 8-hour live burn. But that was, and now it's a 1. You got to be everybody. It did jump at it, maybe 20 years ago or so. They jumped it to where you had to be a level 1, which he did. He went straight to the academy and got his level 2, and just to get on board with that right away.
So Kevin had said he got voted in at 18 because he was a junior. He went through that. I'm assuming everyone has to be voted in. When you joined the fire service, did you get voted in? How'd that work?
Him? Me?
Yeah. The old man. Yeah, I'm here to talk to the old man, not Kevin. I talk to you all the time, bro.
Yeah. Yes, sir. That's and actually the chief, when he asked me that time, there was kind of a line of maybe 6, 8, 10 people to get on, but I had a little bit that he knew me already, and I think he must have spoke highly of me because I gave him my application, and they had a meeting like a week or 2 later, and he called me and said, "Hey, we just voted you on. You want to come up?" And literally come up, and they say, "Hey, you're on, but we'll give you a set of turnout gear, an old set just for training. You can't do anything yet until you get your hours in, but you can ride along on the truck and do whatever you're told to do." And they happened to catch a run right after I got my gear on, so they threw me on the second truck and went to my first chimney fire, and I could probably tell you the whole thing. And,
I want to hear the story for sure, please.
Okay.
You're right.
Well, yeah,
I know
here I
more
am.
than just you went to a chimney fire.
Yeah, first one just got on, and I wasn't doing anything. I went to a chimney fire, and on the way back, we had an accident with our fire truck. So my first run, first getting voted on, my first run, my first accident. Got home like 4 a.m, and it was just a long night. But I thought, well, this is pretty neat, pretty exciting.
I was gonna say, like, either at that point you're like, this is amazing, I can't believe I'm still alive, or you're like, this is for the birds, I'm out. What did the old lady think about that? Because I know my old lady would be like, yeah, no, you're not doing that shit. You just your first day, you guys get in a freaking wreck. Who are these guys?
Yeah, she wasn't real thrilled about that, and then had a couple of accidents or different things along the way that she had to come to the hospital, and typical stuff that happens to everybody. But yeah, she's not as excited about it as I was, but she's always been good.
Oh, obviously, I mean, over 3 decades later, and and correct me if I'm wrong, are you still active right now?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So when do you, so you might not even know this answer. When do you hang up that lid? When do you say, hey, enough is enough?
It's got to be getting close because it's just hard for me. The young guys really help out a lot, and I really like a lot of our younger guys. They have me driving the truck, running the truck, things like that a little bit more, and they don't like to see me go in too much. And it comes time to clean up things. They're all, hey, sit down, old man. We got this. You've done this long enough, and we just got done testing the hose on it the other day, and I tried to climb up on top to help pull the hose, and when we got done, and they about threw me back off. Sit
Oh,
down, old man.
the boys are looking out for their freaking senior firemen right there. They're doing the right thing. So
Yeah,
I love it. And that just I mean, talk about a sign of respect from the guys. That's the biggest respect out there when they're like, "Old man, get the hell off of here. You've already done your work. Sit down, tell us a story while we do the work for you."
that's it. It's like get the hell off of here, get the fuck off of here or something, and get out of our way. Kiddingly, and yeah, but yeah, it
That's,
works out good.
and so that's perfect. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, same house for the entire time, or did you go to a couple different volley houses throughout your career?
Same firehouse, but not typically. I don't know if I would say house. We actually moved the building. We didn't move the building. We were on Main Street, and a nicer, bigger building we was going to add on at one time. Come available, it was another shop. So we literally moved. It's a very small town. We moved a mile away to a different location, but still same fire hall, just different spot.
All right. So for the listeners that don't understand how your system works, give me like a box run number or whatever you guys call it.
So like you'll have to help me with this because I've been removed from this for like 8 years. If it's working, you get mutual aid. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So say that call comes out, reported house fire. Maybe it's not upgraded yet. Are guys typically at the house, like hanging out, or is it like everyone's coming from home, or are they all meeting on scene? How's that usually work in your system?
We come from work or from the house or from wherever you're at and respond. Used to be we had pagers, and we still have pagers, but now they got on your cell phone. There's they also set an alarm off on that, and it gives you can push respond whatever, and you come to the firehouse and you get your gear on and head out from here. So we're not you guys that do it professional. You got to jump on us right away. About a 3-minute jump is most of us, they like to see a 3 to 5 minute response to the firehouse. And it's a very small town. We got less than 5,000 people. So the town's not that big. So you can.
Is there a minimum number of guys that have to be on the rig before you leave the barn, or no?
We like to, but we've cheated that already. I don't know, we get in trouble here, but yeah, you like to have the first out truck full. But if there's been days already where during the day, it's a little harder to get people out. You got everybody's at work. And, you might have an empty seat, but usually the second truck out, the guys that's coming in a little bit later, it'll fill out, and it's always worked. And if it's something where you need more help, every town out here, really, the whole county is just unbelievable. Everybody shares everything, and different towns. We got one full-time department in the county. And actually we've got people that was raised here that was like Kevin and I, started out here as volunteers and went to the neighboring full-time, but they still volunteer here when they're not on shift at that full-time job. They'll come back and run with us.
I was going to ask you if you were surrounded by any career departments or at least combination departments, because I know a lot of, even today's day and age, volunteer departments will have like usually one, at least a paid driver to make sure the rig gets out the barn. But it sounds like you guys are still doing it 100% volunteer. What do you consider a full truck? Because he's like, we like to see it full. So what's full in your guys' system?
The driver and an officer in the front seat, and 4 guys in the back, four people in the back.
Wow.
Yeah, we do have
all right,
women
so
out.
You're a full, literally like every seat is occupied, damn near.
Yes, sir.
All right, well that's a full. I thought you were going to say full truck. You're like, yeah, 3, right? Like no. 4. Now we're so you're rolling with 6 on the full truck. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So and was there ever a push, because it's a rarity today, And I'm actually surprised, and I don't mean to be insulting to anybody listening, and definitely not you, Mr. Joe, but it's surprising to me in today's day and age that the volunteer service still exists. And when I say exists, it exists in a system like yours where it's 100% volunteer. The area that I used to live in when I was a fireman back east, that area was 100% volunteer, and they went through a pretty shitty lawsuit at one point, and they ended up having to pay a driver for every station because they had it was a Wednesday morning house fire with a family of 4, and they couldn't get anybody to take a piece out because, like you said, everybody was at work, out of town, whatever the case might be. Has that ever been like a political issue or like a push with you guys because you're still 100% volunteer, which is freaking awesome?
No, we've kind of held our own around there, and all the other departments too, because they're every other town here. We've got the first out is going to be that way is a town that's 5 miles away. Our one full time it's 5 miles that way and about 5-6 miles each way. And if it's something, well, we need help, we're not bashful to call. And we kid around with about something, we had to call. Yeah, we had to come and help you to put your fire out, type thing. And everybody does it. But no, we've always kind of held, and everyone around here kind of has. I mean, and we're actually kind of the middle size for our group around here. Some of the even smaller towns, but they still manage to get by.
It's good. Obviously, you still have guys that live in that town, and that was the inception of the volunteer service. And correct me if I'm misspeaking, but it was the guys that lived in the town were volunteer firemen because they wanted fire protection, and it was just like, hey, I want to look out for my family and my neighbors, and my friends' families and everything else. It's just you don't see it very often anymore.
Yeah, I think especially around here, it's a lot of like a large farming community, which helps where everyone has that pride in their community. Everyone has that hard work ethic. And then we were just looking, we have a board in the other room that has all the names of members since the inception of the fire department. And we counted 20 families where there's a generational, like me and him, father, son, whether it's father, son, father, daughter, stepson, nephew. There was 20 different families on there.
Now, Joe, do you guys run EMS too, or just fire only?
I do both, but it's a separate building. The EMS is run by the county, and it's here in town. We just have 2 ambulances. But for a small town, I know you city guys, but they average about 600 runs a year on that. Where we're, about as far as the fire part, you might have a slow year and be as slow as 50 to 75 runs and up to 100 runs. But and those aren't working fires. That's our biggest thing is car accidents. It seems like we have more accidents, a lot of farm accidents, car accidents, wind damage, like you got in storms. If there's power lines down, things like that. A lot of your knick-knack crap. But
you guys probably average I would say 15 plus working fires a year, though.
Yeah, we do get our share.
So that's more than some career departments run. That's one a month, more than one a month. So that's nothing to shake a stick at, especially with the community of 5,000. That's freaking small. You got smaller cities that are a couple million, and you guys are rocking 5,000. So that's a pretty good number right there. I was gonna, and you already answered the question. I was gonna ask you, what do you guys run more? But you said motor vehicle collisions or fireman accidents. Do you get a lot of like machinery calls, that kind of shit? Like that's gotta be always good.
Oh yeah, there's you can about imagine with the farming things, and farmers are really hardworking people, and they live right on the edge. Farmers, I think, next about like the fire service is a very dangerous thing. We've had a lot of fingers, hands missing, things like that, and some fatal things that, unfortunately, you get a big diesel like a corn picker or something. If you get too close to it where you're not supposed to be, stick your hands in there, it'll suck you right through.
It's funny because I have such a vast experience where I volunteered here for so long, right? And then I went to a single station municipality covering 20,000 people and 90 square miles to now a major metropolitan working 9 stations next to one of the largest departments in the country. But what these guys can do with the little bit that they have is impressive. Like with the farming side of things, a frequent call here is manure. And so with the hog barns, the hogs are in the barn, but then the floor is graded, and then all the shit falls between the grates below, and then they pump it out and then spread it in the fields. And I would say probably once a year, someone goes down in one of those shit pits.
From the fumes or what?
From the fumes of the
From
methane.
the menthol or methane?
Yeah.
I said menthol, but I'm fucking idiot over here. This freaking hazmat guy too.
Yeah.
I went like Newport menthol cigarettes for a second there. That was a brain fart.
That's
Anyway,
a different
listen to the
backwoods
guy that
type of
knows what he's
feeling.
talking about. Gee, I'm gonna shut up now.
But yeah, like you just had a family die. These guys were out in the middle of a lagoon, and what, 3 of them died?
Yeah, the first one they weren't. They was actually, and I don't want to step on their toes. If I can say this or not, because it wasn't ours. I mean, they did everything right, but the first guy went in and got overcome into like a pit, and so naturally his brother seen him down there, and he went down right away. And then by that time, the third one come running up, seen 2 of them laying down there. He right after his brothers, he just went down and thought he could help.
But you think about that call in our region and like the amount of resources they would have. These guys are doing that with 1, maybe 2 trucks and maybe 10 guys, and it's just figure it out. And they do. They figure it out every time. It's amazing to me.
Like an old timer said, and I love it, is like, especially on the machinery topic, because how complex those calls are. I mean, it's kind of the same, but even more complex than, like, say, a nasty motor vehicle collision, a really good pin job or a cut job where you're really working. The machinery it's all different, and like where is their body part? But old timer said to me once, he's like, Steve-O, he's like, if they assembled it, we can disassemble it. And I'm like, yeah, you ain't wrong about that, but and we don't get that very often. Like me and Kev, we work for the same department, obviously, but we don't get that very often. But when we do, I've been on a couple here. One was a mattress. The crazy thing is, I even know this machine existed. It just basically squishes mattresses. And I guess that's how they, squish them and roll them up or whatever. Well, this dude got halfway in it by accident, and it was squishing him. But we ended up breaking that machine. And I know we didn't do the best job, but we got the guy out, But it was like, kind of like, hey, what are we going to do? It's like we ended up using the spreaders and, those big drum rollers, and was able to get enough of a purchase and just start breaking that machine. But I can't imagine what you guys get to see with that farming equipment. That's got to be insane. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
And I actually lost an uncle to a farm accident. And shell of corn is another thing. That's a big corn area around here. And they shell it and they put it in bins. And them gutsy farmers, they're hard working. They got up there to try and push. It was stuck, and he tried to kick the top of it down, and it was shell corn. And once he slipped and got in there, he just sucks you down to the bottom just almost instantly, and you suffocate. With the department,
Really?
It wasn't our department, thank God, but they did a good job and they got him out, and he was still alive, but he was under a little bit too long.
Yeah. Holy
and that's
cow.
another thing that sucks about this, because everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
knows everybody around there with these small towns. If you roll up on an accident or a farm accident or a fire, you're going to probably know the person. That makes it a little harder.
There's a lot of guys that refuse to. I don't feel this way, but there's a lot of guys that refuse to be career dudes in the cities that they live in, which I feel the opposite. Like, I would love to work in the city I live in because that's my community. But some guys will not do it for that reason, because they're like, hey, I know these people. And like, I look at it as like, yeah, I know them. I want to help them. But they're like, no, I know them. I don't want to see them so it's a good argument either way. But I mean, it has, like, how do you feel about that? Like, would you prefer running on your town, or would you rather be running on complete strangers? I'm just curious.
No, after for doing them for so long, I love being a volunteer, and I've helped people, and every now and then you get somebody that might be a little upset, but usually you run into their family member or some, hey, you helped me here or there or something, and helped out, and thanks a lot, and helped my brother or something like that. But then I can still do other things. I know being a full time, when I worked for the town, I was doing that. There was kind of a construction type work, and which I always enjoyed doing. And then I got to do the fire stuff and the squad. They let me do both. So if it's on a squad run or a fire run, and then you go back to work and do something different. But I'm kind of sidestepping the question there. But no, I don't mind. I'm used to it. Make it through. You just do it.
So there's a couple things I really want to know. So I've been kind of writing down notes. Part of your bio was you held a bunch of different hats. So please correct me if I'm wrong. So backstep fireman, engineer/driver/chauffeur, whatever you guys call it in your system, lieutenant, and captain. Did I miss anything, or that's it, right? I say that's it. That's a lot.
And on the ambo, I'm just a driver. I'm
Okay.
basic, I'm
And the
not
fucking
not a medic.
ambo. We'll just call him the ambo driver, right? The freaking the
Yeah.
worst thing you could ever say to ambo guy. All right, get out of here, ambo driver. Kevin's laughing at me right now.
No, he has no EMS training. He's legitimately just a driver.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I mean, CPR, and we get recertified and see the base, like CPR and I put Band-Aids on, but basically I drive and I help load patients.
Yeah, he's
Hey,
not
you know
even a
what?
basic.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin's got that fucking magical patch, but I'm a basic. That's all I do too, is I put Band-Aids on and tell people it's okay also. So, and ask Kevin what he needs on the call, but so what was, since you've had all the seats on the most important rig, which is a freaking fire apparatus, what was your favorite spot out of all those?
Oh, I love not being an officer now.
You love not being an officer?
Yes, I didn't like, it was, yeah. I'm not a decision maker and never was. I wouldn't say I was a good officer. I put my time in and, made most of the run. I told my wife when I retired from the town, I don't ever want to make another decision the rest of my life.
He's like me, where we're just worker bees, like either let us work and leave us alone, or just point us in the direction and we'll get it done. Just leave us alone.
So now I know for a fact why you've been successfully married for 50 years, because you don't want to make a decision. So your old lady gets to do it all, right?
Yes.
So,
yeah.
that's
And
easy.
she's
All you have
very
to say
good
is
at
yes,
making them
dear.
too.
You just say yes, dear. Okay, what are we doing today? Okay, right. That's it makes now it's all making sense. So not decision maker, not an officer. So now we have the chauffeur, the driver, or the back step. Which one would you prefer?
I don't mind driving. Yeah. And, you get to, run the truck. It's a lot easier to do than the guys going in doing all the, the hard work. It was exciting when I was young like him, but my body just doesn't like that stuff anymore. If we do
Well,
have something, yeah, we call them like, you get the big one there. And around here, it's usually a big barn fire or something like that. The last decent fire was a hog building. Luckily, it was empty. It didn't have any hogs in it, but it pretty much burned up. But I don't like those anymore. It's just exhausting. And I didn't do a whole lot that night, but I was out there most of the night and just pulling hose around and stuff. By the time I get home, you got to soak in the tub, and then you lay there and you think, what the heck am I doing this for?
you got to educate me on this. I'm going to ask a selfish question because I want to know, and I'm positive there's other people that want to know the same answer. So I have a little over 20 years in American Fire Service, and I have 0 freaking minutes of experience in farming anything. My question to you: so I've never been on a hog, whatever you just said, fire, a hog barn, tower, column. I don't freaking know. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is you go do something that has animals, okay, outside of a chicken coop, because I know what those fucking are. Obviously, that's probably not an interior firefight for the most part. Is there a priority list of trying to save the animals? Because I know that's a financial thing for the farmers, big time. Like, what does that look like? Do you go? I guess I'm asking. Do you get a pig grab? Like, just tell me if you get a pig grab. That's all I need to know right now.
We have, but yeah, and that happens a lot. Usually, and the farmers most of them are pretty good. There might be something they accidentally lit or something on fire with a piece of machinery or something. They're unloading their animals and stuff before we even get there. As long as they don't get hurt, a lot of that. You don't lose surprisingly a lot of animals, but like we do have chicken coops and turkey coops also around here, and them things are huge. And unfortunately, just about all of them always don't make it. I mean, they're like house trailers, and once they get lit, they go from one end to the next. And the ones that might be alive, they have to sacrifice anyhow because once they've been in the fire, they're not. You can't sell them as food or anything like that.
It's different because like the farmers have insurance on their crops and their livestock. And so it's very different than what we're used to. So like I can remember we had a barn fire that we were on for like I think 30 to 40 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a hay barn, and so when they cut straw or they cut hay and then they bale it, if it's has too high of a moisture, it can sit there and heat up and then spontaneously combust. But once that hay or straw gets exposed to smoke, the animals won't touch it. And so the farmers would actually rather let it burn and just collect the insurance than salvage it and then have this junk hay laying there that you can't
salvage
even
it,
use.
literally probably sell it to guys like us at academies trying to do birds, right?
Yeah,
who else is
trying
gonna
to
buy
burn it
that
up.
crap?
Yeah.
It's crazy because, again, I told you 0 minutes of experience in that kind of environment, but I live in the city of Buckeye, which is a very it's a huge city, very underdeveloped right now. So there's still a lot of farming communities and everything else. Majority of the city is a farming community, I would say. And we had a bunch of pretty large wildfires roll through there that the state had to kind of come in and corral. But I'll tell you what, and again, I was buffing with my freaking wife and my stepdaughter, who's 8, and literally there's a huge freaking column. And we're like, hey, let's go check it out. So I'm like, all right. So I'm like, let's drive as close. Let's see how close we can get. I'll tell you what, I saw those cowboys legit making these noises and herding their freaking their cows. And they were moving these herds of cows. And I was like watching as this freaking massive fireball's coming at them, and they're just working and they're getting their animals out. I'm like, oh, I was impressed. I was like, these guys, I'm like, the sounds that they're making like whoops, and I can't even like whatever. But I was, again, it's just something that I've never been exposed to. I was always a city boy growing up too. So I think it's fascinating. I would love to learn more about that kind of firefighting, but so I'm just, there are more questions than anything else I have for you. But I picture like you and Kevin on a working fire together, each with a pig in your freaking arms as you're running out, and it's just squealing away. It's almost like the backdrops, the backdrop scene was, I got one, or whatever. It's like, it's a pig. It's like, well, put lipstick on it. It might be prettier. Well,
Yeah.
So you've done, again, 1,000 freaking years in the fire service. You've had every seat. What kind of trucks do you guys have out of your department? So I think I heard a squad for a second there.
So the squads are actually our ambos.
You guys are weird like that.
Yeah.
All right. I'll pretend like I didn't
squads,
hear squad. So let's talk about fire apparatus. What do you guys have out the barn?
our pumper, they usually about most around the first out, and then car accidents. We have a rescue truck, and we call them tankers around here. Once you get out of town, there's no hydrants. We have ponds, and that's where the mutual aid really comes in good. We have a 2,500-gallon tanker is usually the second truck out. In town fire is the pumper, then the rescue truck or truck 3 that has but it's a pumper also, and then the tanker. But in the rural area, we like he said with you guys, you don't relay water. We have to suck water out of a pond somewhere with a hard suction hose and put it in full of tanks, and you disperse that from we call them fill sites, and that's usually everything around here. Most of you you're going to go to a fill site and get water and have to truck it back to the fire.
They got 5 trucks. They got, just so like the clean up the universal language. They have an engine, and that's a 1,000-gallon tank, and I think a 2,000 GPM pump. They have a rescue engine that's mirrored. It's the same setup. They have the tanker, or we would call it a tender. Like he said, 2,500 gallons with 1,000 GPM. They have basically a heavy rescue. That's kind of like their equipment truck and has all their specialty equipment. And then they have a grass truck. We call them grass trucks. It'd be like a
brush truck.
Yeah, it's like a type 3 or whatever. And then they got a boat and a trailer.
Okay, so you have a lot of shit then, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and thanks for him. Like I say, he's 10 times smarter than I am, and I'm going to forget shit. And he's better. He hasn't been around here in 6 years, and he still knows more than I do.
But
they're teaching me how to pump these things when I was 14. I remember this station and these rigs like the back of my hand still.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, back east, the department I worked for, our entire area was like 500 plus square miles, 460 touched water somewhere. So drafting was a legit thing. Transfer tanks was a legit thing. And we did the same thing. Tankers. When I came out here and I'm like, a tanker, and they're like, that's an airplane. I mean, no, it's not, but it's obviously the West Coast. It's, they're talking about wildland firefighting, and obviously that's what they call it. So we call it something different. But I understand your verbiage. Like, so you had pumper tankers. So it's got 1,500-gallon pump and 2,500 plus gallons and a fold down tank or drop down tank. Yeah, I mess with the engineers here all the time. I'm like, how many freaking hard suction hoses can you pull draft out of, bro? And Kevin's laughing. We don't have any on the truck, but I could do 3. 3 was my max. I could never pull draft past 3. So but I'm like, you guys don't even know how to freaking pull draft, man. Like all the tips and tricks to it. But it's a whole nother world. So for the guys like us, our city boys, our city fire department boys, tell us, please inform us on the challenges of fucking drafting or zero to little water supply issues of working fires.
There's always something around there. We do have our Grand Lake here that's only about that magical 5 miles away again, and you can pump out of that thing forever. But there's a lot of we have fill sites are numbered. Each county, each department around there has so many in their area, and they'll tell you when you're dispatched to go to the fill site. And usually they're all set up. We all do it the same way, basically. Most of them are a pipe that an 8-inch pipe that you hook to, and you draw it out of that pipe. And some of them you literally drop a hose into a pond. We've dropped off of bridges already, and that was probably the fun thing. One time we tried to pump up. We had like 3 sections of hose off of a bridge and pumped up from off of a bridge.
Did you get it or
channel.
no?
Yeah, we did. It took the whole. We had to let the water out of our tank backwards into that line to get it to get
flush,
magical. Yeah, to get it to pump back up. Which
you had to pre-fill the hose, right, by back feeding from your tank. Yeah, guys don't remember those tricks, right? That's impressive from an elevated. Sir, I've never done that. It's funny. We had the good chauffeurs that we had back east. You knew them because if we went down south to like the 3rd or 4th battalion, I was always up north. It was all row homes. That's all we fought fire in, basically. But when you went south, it was single family, larger lots, limited water supply, things like that. And so we get pulled on like a 2nd, 3rd alarm all the time. And the good freaking wagon engineers, they'd go to the scene, even though they're like, hey, go to the freaking the water shuttle site, because they started, they want to set up shuttles. And he'd fucking pull up and be like, boys, get out. And we're like, boom, right? So we can go to work. He's like, I'm like, you need help? He's like, nope. He's like, I got this. And he would take off and handle all of that crap for us. So at least the boys got to play, so that was, and I'll call him out, Pat Saunders. He was the best engineer ever. He would do that for us all the fucking time. It was great.
Yeah, we got guys around here legendary too. Then, and I'm mediocre at best to the bottom end. I'm gladly hand that spot over to one of these guys from the other departments that do more of it, and they could suck water out of
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's some guys that are legendary good. Then have done it forever, and they just got that magic touch to get that draw coming, and just keep it flowing.
It's weird, all the little nuances too, because like he was talking about the fill sites. Pretty much anybody that doesn't live in town here has a pond, because that's their water supply for their house.
Okay.
And then certain ponds put pre-plumbed piping in so the fire department can use it as a water supply. And so they'll have a sign next to a 6-inch PVC pipe that says fill site. Yours would be like 2A. So it's the number and then the letter associated to the specific site. But then when you hook up to that, you got to remember to dump your tank. Like you said, to catch your draft, you pre-fill that tube. But for those, you have to dump your tank to blow off the end of the screen.
Oh, to get all that crap out, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of little tricks to drafting.
Would they look like a yard hydrant at trailer homes? Is that kind of what they would look like?
No, it's straight up just it's a 6-inch PVC pipe that comes out at a 45 and then levels off at a 90. And you just hook up that hard suction like it's got threads on it. You spin the cap off. So it's a lot bigger than a yard, because those yard hydrants, those are tiny.
Like 3-inch, I think.
Yeah. And so these were actual true. You just hooked your hard suction straight up to these things.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I've never seen or heard of anything like that. That's pretty badass. So fucking pre-planned for the fire department already. Cool. Well, Joe, so 3 decades in the fire service, what was probably the biggest takeaway? And I'm not wording that correctly, so let me try to word that better for you. What benefit, 3 decades in the fire service, how'd that benefit your life?
Number one thing is him. I'm just so proud of him. Just growing up, it was so fun. He would get half a heart on, if he got to go to the firehouse, and he'd be wanting to roll a hose or grab a broom or do something. And he was just happy. He was just one of us. And to see him grow up and be doing so good at it, I mean, keep saying that 10 times, he's probably 20 times the fireman I ever was. And it's just pride to, working with him and these other departments around here, the mutual aid. That's why I got to watch what I say. I don't want to piss any of my brothers and sisters off in the neighboring departments and try and take their runs or anything, because they're all they always got each other's backs. They're just good people around here, and it's been a lot of good friends, and I don't know, I call it family, I guess. Just basically, it's our life now. A lot of my friends, we vacation together, and the other departments. I mean, different. You go to different functions, and it's usually fire stuff or squad stuff.
Yeah, he was taking me to FDIC in the first grade. I mean, all of his buddies. Yeah, he'd take me out of school. I'd get to skip school for a day and go to Indy with the boys.
That's the best field trip ever.
Oh yeah, dude. We went to one. I think it wasn't the first year I went, but we went one year. And if you've ever been to the FDIC, everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. You leave Lucas Oil, and then if you head a certain direction, there's a Hooters down there, and it's just wall to wall firemen. And we were in there, and it was a school day. They pulled me out of school to go to FDIC. I looked at the trucks all day, and then we went to Hooters and ate. And then while we were in Hooters, there was a SWAT raid across the street. We watched a SWAT raid.
Yes.
That was a good day.
Kev, how old were you? How old were you?
I was probably in like second grade.
So you were like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
Basically. And you got to go to FDIC, then you went to Hooters, you got to see a raid. Like, that's like the best freaking field trip ever. Like,
I went to FDIC at least 3 times before I was actually a firefighter.
Really? I would have loved to be in class with Kev, like at the beginning of the school year when they go around, you introduce each other, like, hey, what you do during the summer? I'm already hearing that freaking, I went to 4 working fires. I went to Hooters 6 times, right? You know, like, just like, listen to that. I'm sure his teachers are probably like, what the hell is wrong with his parents? Like, does he have parents? Is he freaking living at a zoo? Like, what's going on? That's the best childhood ever, I think.
We actually did have teachers. We had one. It was a lady teacher, and we had to go and said, "I think he might be going a little bit overboard. That's all this boy wants to talk about is think about his fire." I think she was wrong.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I thought school was supposed to encourage what you want to do for a living one day.
Yeah,
and he already figured, they were pissed off because he figured it out already. Like I said, I literally use him as a reference when I started asking the questions at the end of the episode every single time on, hey, were you the Kevin Weiss? Like, literally, you're born, you wanted to be a fireman right from the get-go. It is freaking amazing. So, all right, well, Mr. Joe, I know I've had you on for a little bit, but I want to make sure we talk about the why. I know we kind of touched it a little bit. It was like, hey, your buddy and everything else, but can you please just do the whole why for the audience? Why did you become a fireman? Like, what was the draw? And then more importantly, after you got voted in and started doing a job, why stay 38 years? I mean, that's a long fucking time. So obviously it was pretty good to you. So if you don't mind just kind of laying the audience on your story, brother.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get in until 30, and kind of the first year got more and more, and then more years into it, the more you just wanted to do more and more of it. I think as far as why I'm still doing it, I try and stay in the shape a little bit, but one of the days I'm not going to be able to do it. And every time I get in the truck, if I make a run, especially if I'm in the back, I look around at, those guys in there, and I just kind of smile and almost get a tear in my eye because, this could be the last one, and that's going to be sad. And he's always told me the hardest thing, I've basically been in service between squad, fire, and at work, we was always helping people. And before that, in the truck tire business, I helped people that were down on the road and needed a truck tire fixed. And I've been helping people my whole life. And if it ever gets to the point where I can't help people and have to be helped, that's going to be crushing. I just don't want it to happen. And probably not answering the question the way you were thinking, but yeah, I never really grew up with the love that he had for it. Like I said, I didn't know it that much until I was a little bit older. Kind of rambling.
No, I'll tell you what, Joe, that's common. It literally, if you go back, literally 50% of the audience, it's split, or audience, listen to me, guests on the show. It is literally from day one, they've always wanted to do this, or they found it later on in life. There is almost a no in between. It's crazy. It's one spectrum or the other, but the coolest thing about it is everyone has the same ends. Hey, as soon as they got in the fire service, I found out what I was meant to do and and obviously you did, Kevin for sure, myself included. It's just, once you get involved in the fire service, it's like, man, I wish, like I say it all the time, I wish I found this earlier in life. I wish my dad was a fireman, and I was exposed to to the service because I would have, I look back all the time, hindsight being 2020. I wish at 18 years old, instead of joining the military, I wish I tried to get on the fire service. But I remind myself I probably wouldn't have been successful getting on the fire service if I didn't go into the military because I was a fucking asshole in high school. So it forced me to grow up. Yes, I'm still an asshole, just not, just not as much.
Yeah, I joke because it's just how small this town is hard for people in AZ to comprehend. Like everybody knows everybody, but I joke like everyone knows everybody, but he's like the mayor. He's the unofficial mayor because everywhere we go, someone's like, oh, you helped out at this incident at my house, or you helped this person with this, or whatever it was. Like I think just the amount of community connection that you get out of this with your neighbors is unbelievable in the volunteer world. So I had to tell that, and I want to make sure this story makes this because I tell this story frequently, and I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but do you remember our first extrication together?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get our first extrication together. It's my first extrication as a fledged firefighter. And I had the spreaders in my hand and I had a purchase point already in the door. And I want to swing it back a little bit to just drive it in there and get a good bite. And what happens during my backswing? Someone takes it out of my hand and open the door.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes. And he reminded me of that. And it was stupid. It was, yeah. And now, yeah, like I say, I can't even really pick the jaws up anymore. I'm getting so weak in my old age. But yeah, we always talk about that one.
Yeah.
And the one training one done too, the jaws, but the
doors.
Asbestos, that's your expertise now, but he had to save me on that one too. But I'll let you tell that one.
Yeah, we had an acquired structure that we were doing training at, and we could do a whole episode on us just telling jobs that we went on together. We got my stint here was short, but we got a lot of work together. It was probably my proudest moment of my career, was just getting to work with Pops. But we had this acquired structure, we're doing training on it, and I was young, dumb, full of cum fireman, and I was arguing that it's easier to kick doors than to throw your shoulder into it. And so we had a center core hallway in the center upstairs of this 2-story, and we had 2 bedrooms on this side and 2 bedrooms on this side. And so I said, all right, well, let's close all 4 doors and we'll kick this side and then shoulder this side simultaneously and see how it goes. Well, my dumbass, I shut all the doors and I didn't latch his door that he was going to shoulder. And when he shouldered it, the door just opened and he about went out the window in the bedroom.
Yeah, that was a classic. And I think he about had to grab me. I think I was about literally just catching myself from going out. And it was a real small room. And when that door put my whole body into it and it come right open. It was funny though.
So what was the answer back in the day? Was it easier to shoulder or kick?
Shoulder.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just it's funny because try shouldering a door now, Mr. Joe. It probably won't feel very good, will it?
Yeah, I'd probably break something.
Yeah.
I think I would too. I should have rewrapped this entire episode and just called it, hey, the calls that made us had just been a Kevin and Joe talking about fucking calls. So we'll have to respin that in the future and literally dedicate an episode because I've been thoroughly entertained this entire time. I would just like to hear you guys fucking talk shit to each other about different calls you were on. I did have a question about a call though. Not necessarily the first fire, but if it was, but Joe, have you ever been on the line with your boy on a working fire?
Yeah.
All right. Was it the first one or no?
No.
Good. No, I'm trying to think. I think my first working fire is that one I about fell in the basement.
Oh, that big one in
St. Henry. Yeah, we were here at the station for a meeting. They do meetings and trainings twice a month. So the second Wednesday is a meeting with a training, and then the fourth Wednesday is just a training. And so we were all upstairs in the meeting room, and we heard the neighboring town get kicked out in a house fire. So the way they did it, it wasn't auto aid, it was mutual aid. And so we would hear them get kicked out. And well, if we heard they were getting a fire, we knew they were going to call for us when they got on scene. And so we just jumped in the rig and started going. And we ended up, their first engine pulled in, and we pulled in right behind their first engine. And it was a big, probably 4,000 square foot, 2-story with a walkout basement. And it was actually a couple of buddies of mine I went to high school with. And we ended up, the first engine, the pump froze because it was wintertime and it was -40. And so
Oof.
my line was the first line in. I forget, you were on the second truck or pumping or something.
Yeah, because you went in. I think you.
Yeah, it was me and Travis in there, but we went in there and I think I'd gone through my 1 and 2, so I had a little bit more training than most. And we were crawling along, doing a search, making a push, and I was like, "Hey, man, feel that floor." And he's like, "No, it's hot." And I was like, "Yeah, no, like push it." And it was just carpet. The floor burned out.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
You were just bouncing on carpet.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm trying to think of like a good one that we were on the line together. I can't. We had a good basement fire that we were on the line together one time on the south side of town.
Yeah.
Paul and Amy were in town, but yeah, we had some good jobs together for sure.
I can't imagine what kind of banter goes back and forth when you put a fucking son and dad on the fucking on the hose line together in a fucking working fire. It's gotta be, who gets the knob? Does the young guy get the knob, or does the senior dude get the knob?
He would now for sure. Yeah, but I don't know if I did. I think Spencer did the same thing. His buddy about his age. I took a nozzle out of his hand one time. And this guy's we got a lot of cops around here. A lot of cops are volunteers and stuff too, and we love our cops around here. And this guy's a cop and pretty badass guy. And I took a nozzle out of his hand one time, and his dad was also a cop and a fireman. You know, and now he's got a brother that's a cop, and he's sisters in EMS. It's just it's all family. But yeah, I took a nozzle out of his in one hand one time, and I think if I did that, I'd get my ass kicked now.
I love it so much. So listen, guys, we're at that magical hour mark. We have to. I don't care what you guys say. We have to remix this again in the future. We'll figure out a time to do it, a date to do it, and we're literally just going to talk shop. And you guys are going to tell me all your freaking amazing stories. It's going to make a great episode. This one's been amazing so far. I appreciate your time, especially this evening, committing to this. So thank both you guys. So we did know the why. We found out the why. So let's get into a couple of questions. One of our favorite questions, hence why me and Kevin started the Fools, was traditions. So something out west is we lost a lot of fire service traditions that, he loved in Ohio. I love back in Maryland. So that's why we started, because we wanted to bring a lot of these traditions back, especially to the West Coast. On their tradition side, since you've been in the American Fire Service for freaking over 3 decades now, what is your favorite American Fire Service tradition? But more importantly, why? Why do you love this tradition so much?
Probably just a family thing. You call them brothers and sisters. We do have a couple of the younger girls on the department here, but no matter who you're sitting around afterwards, everybody pulls their own weight at something. I was just telling him the other day, we had a couple juniors and we had training. I think we were testing hose, but we had a couple 16-year-olds sitting at the table and we got some 21-year-olds and 30-year-olds, and then we got my old ass and our assistant chief is my age, but they're all sitting around telling stories and bullshitting. I wish he could have been here for it too, but I told them guys, where else? I said, even you guys, because they're football players. I said, you guys do this in the locker room. You get along with like old people like us. He goes, no, this is different. Everybody, it's just like we're together. I'm just the old fart, and they kid me about it. And these young bucks do all the hard work, and it's just, I love that connection. I guess
Yeah, the family, the brother. I mean, growing up here, like the guys on this department were like uncles. I mean, we built houses together.
Yeah.
We hung out on the weekends together. We were like the brotherhood is good in the career fire service, like what I've had with our boys and my old department. But like the brotherhood and the volunteer departments and the right atmosphere is second to none. I mean, the stuff that we did together and how involved we were in each other's lives is amazing. I mean, you can't see it, but the whole kitchen's full of family pictures. Yeah. All the kids, just moments at the firehouse, moments at the family picnic that we have. Like, yeah, the family atmosphere and the brotherhood is definitely alive in the volunteer world.
And that's what this profession should mostly be about. And we were talking offline a little bit before we started recording, but I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We call each other family, absolutely, but it is more like brother and sister, exactly what we say. I always say, hey, that's my stepbrother and my stepsister, because none of us are blood. Well, some of us are blood related. You guys are, right? But the majority of us aren't. But it's the craziest thing. Like you were just saying, at that kitchen table or at the firehouse or at the freaking hall, you got the old timer, you got you, the salty dog, a 30-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a freaking 16-year-old that thinks they know something about life and they haven't realized they don't know anything yet. But you guys can all talk shit to each other like your buddies because you are. And I wholeheartedly believe that crews, like you call that a crew, but departments that are close like that can talk shit, that hang out with each other, that families hang out, they're the best performing, like firemen, my personal opinion, best performing firemen on the fire ground, hands down, because they are with each other all the time. You know, like if me, Kevin are running a house fire together, I don't have to say shit to him. He doesn't have to say shit to me. We know exactly what we're going to do. And I guarantee you and your boys at the house are like that. And it's because of that family, because of that bond and what you guys are still holding on to, which is amazing. And I hope no one ever tarnishes that for you all, because it's unfortunately, especially in the career world, it's starting to dissipate a little bit. And, you know, pendulum swing in the fire service, it'll come back. But it just takes some time, and it takes some guys like us that stress how important it is to kind of start pushing it. But man, I love that answer for sure, Mr. Joe. That's you can't explain it any better. That is the best part of the job, I think. Awesome. All right. Well, so you've worn a ton of hats at work. We talked about it. We already went to your favorite position. I'm going to give you a hat that you haven't had yet. So I'm going to promote you to the ultimate. So we call this the Commissioner of the World, Fire Chief of the Universe. You get that magical wish too. So with zero sweat equity, instant gratification, you get to change something. That's adding, deleting, whatever you want to do for the American Fire Service. And it happens right now. The real question is why? Why are you changing, altering, adding this to the American Fire Service, brother?
I don't know. There's nothing really jumps out. I mean, it's basically good. The politics sometimes is a little bit to deal with, but we don't have it too bad here in a small town. The towns around there support you pretty good, but the equipment, as long as we can keep up with everything, and I know those areas, that it'd be nice if every town could have a department and every possible truck out there or a piece of equipment, but. And you hear some of the horror stories, some of these people are struggling to get equipment. If you was a gazillionaire and you could go around and get everybody fully equipped with everything, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think overall, because you talk pretty good about me, your city take care of you guys. I know it's altogether different there. You guys run a lot, and you get, I don't know how you do some of them big warehouses and high rises and stuff like that. That's not for an old farmer like me, but
But like I said, we don't know how you do the farm equipment, so it is literally, different strokes for different folks. Like you got just SMEs everywhere. It's just, I would love to be able to attach myself to your hip for a freaking month and hopefully run a bunch of machinery calls and learn as much as I could. That would be freaking amazing, and definitely get a pig grab in the process too. I don't care. That's going to have to happen now. So yeah, dude, I absolutely, it's funny you said politics too, because coming into the fire service, I was like you. I found it later on in life. I literally got out of the military and was like, shit, what am I going to do? And went back to 5-year-old Steve. Hey, cop, fireman, or Air Force pilot. I was already in the Coast Guard, so screwed up my Air Force career, right? Can't be the fighter pilot. So literally cop or fireman. I fell into the fire service by accident, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But I had no idea how political the fire service could be. And I still, to this day, 20 years later, and you got 18 more years than I do. Why? Joe, why do you think it's so political sometimes? Because I can't figure it out. Maybe Kevin fucking knows. I don't know. You said he's the smartest guy in the family. I don't fucking know. But I mean, I don't know why there should be politics in the fire service at all. Just personal opinion.
No, I don't know why there is either. And it just gets in the way, like it's a generational curve of we've just, I don't want to say lost, but there's a lacking in just the guys like us three that are just blue collar, boots on the ground. Let's go to work, right? Like people, for some reason, with money and power, stick their hands into the shit. And at the end of the day, the fire service is still a blue collar job, and you got to support us, but let us do our job. Period.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it sucks. But it's the nature of the beast.
Do you feel, hey, Joe, do you feel like there's more politics in the Volly world for you than maybe Kevin faces in the career world?
No, it's not bad here, and I don't want to get him in trouble. I think Glendale is a nice city. I like coming out and visit. Phoenix is great. My daughter is out there too, and but Yeah, I don't know that much about your politics out there, and he seems like he's happy with every the stuff they've got, and people are always going to argue the top to the bottom, and I don't know. Around here, chiefs or white hats are out here, but we got a pretty good one. We've had good chiefs in the past, but I've heard horror stories about chiefs a lot of times. Maybe in the city, a lot of times because they're on more of the politics end. They got the upper end trying to hold them back a little bit and save some money, and they're trying to keep their guys happy and safe and the city above them. But
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting to me with the politics here is like the support's there. Absolutely. Right. Like obviously you could say, oh, we should be staffing and whatever. You can't justify it with less than 100 calls a year. But like their apparatus is nice. And they're actually on a smart replacement plan where every 5 to 10 years they're buying another truck, and they're just all on a constant cycle. They're not, multiple trucks a year. They all got turnouts. They have an extractor here. Their equipment's nice. They're not hurting in that way at all. But I think one thing I just wanted to highlight, like the politics and the volunteer side, at least in this organization, isn't that bad. It's pretty good. But like the donors from the community, you would be amazed at the donors in the community that are just well-off people that care about the community. And at the end of the year, they say, hey, I've got $20,000 I need to get rid of before tax time. What do you guys need? And
Really?
they'll say, oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll let you can elaborate.
Yeah, I got a guy. We literally just a guy in our town. And I don't want to. He's pretty modest. I won't mention his name, but he's worked hard his whole life, and he throws money at the squad. He throws money at the school here, and he's got money, and he throws it on well. And we literally just went out to his house. He's got a nice pond. We had the whole family out there. He said, "Come out here and swim and have fun," and just like the greatest guy in the world. And he's got money and he throws it in the right direction. He just really, and there's every town's got that person that around here that, somebody that sold a business or a factory or did something, really won the lottery, and they really help out. I mean, they throw their money around and get us a lot of nice stuff.
Well, you guys are doing something right when the community, like you got community members that are literally going, hey man, I got fucking 20 grand. Let me get a write-off. What do you boys fucking need? Because he could easily give that 20 grand to whoever, Goodwill. I mean, name any big corp and get his sheet for his taxes. He doesn't have to give it to you guys, but he does. Right. So that means that just shows the service you guys provide and how much he appreciates you, which is, I think, the best compliment in the fucking world.
Yeah.
And you mentioned being in the military. I wanted to thank you for your service too. That's a tough life. I'm thankful I didn't have to go through, and I know you guys have to do it, and that's really a a plus for you guys. I mean, not only you got fire chasing, now you got people shooting at you in different situations, and what you guys been through. And thanks a lot for everything you've done.
Oh, I appreciate you, brother, but I was on the boat, so I didn't get shot at. Thank God. Okay. So it was all good, right? But I do appreciate you more. And more importantly, thank you for your service. Literally over 30 years in the volunteer American Fire Service, just doing it. And again, you guys are the majority of the country. We talk about the American Fire Service all the time, and we're typically talking to career guys, which is, and I do not fucking quote me on these numbers, but we're like 30% of the population of firemen. Somebody can correct me on that, or I'll research it one day and I'll do a whole episode on it, but whatever, so I appreciate what you guys are doing. Me and Kev got a chance to hang out with a bunch of dudes in Mississippi that's their world too. So it's cool to see that the Brotherhood's alive, especially alive and well on the volunteer side, because I straight up said it in the beginning. I'm like, I'm surprised you guys still exist. I'm happy that you do. But it's one of those things where like you feel like eventually a town or community will be like, hey man, yeah, you're going to charge us an extra $5, everybody an extra $5 a month or whatever, and we can start to fund a career service. I feel like eventually that's where everyone's going to. So to see that you guys are still doing it, but you're doing it the right way with fucking staffing and dudes, giving back to the department is freaking amazing. So I thank you, my brother. I thank you for your time, Kevin. Thank you for getting him on the fucking show, because I know he would have never done it without you. I appreciate you, my brother, for sure. So before we wrap up here, is there anything either of you guys want to leave the audience with, besides the fact that this is the most badass fucking profession in the entire world? And it proves it because guys don't appreciate this shit. Hold on. I'm going to go off on a tangent real quick. Guys out here don't appreciate when I say this shit because they don't live it. I'm like, hey, I tell the recruits this. I'm like, you're getting paid right now, real money, to get trained and learn how to be a fireman when the majority of the country, they do that job for free. And you're out here getting paid for it. So freaking soak up that knowledge and be grateful. But the problem is they don't have that lens or perspective. So I'll get off my high horse. I'm sorry. So is there anything you guys want to leave the audience with besides the rant that I just went on?
You got anything?
No, go ahead.
If anyone's listening, and if you live in an area that has volunteers, thank your volunteers. I mean, the shit that they do, the hours they put in to not get paid. It was at my childhood. It was known at Christmas that Dad wasn't going to be there. He was going to be on the chimney fire or helping someone else. He was there for some of it, but there was like a 5-year stretch where he missed every Christmas because he had to serve the community. He had to go to a fire. He had to go on a medical call, whatever it was. Right? Like, it's different than when we're on shift work, because on shift work, it's planned, it's known. Where the volunteer side, pager goes off, everything drops, and they go. And they answer the call to the best of their ability, and they do a great fucking job. So if you live in a community that has volunteers, thank them and support them. That's all I say.
I love it. Joe, you really can't top that, brother.
No, that's perfect. And I want to thank you for your time, and thanks for keeping an eye on him for me. And yeah, very proud of you guys and everything you guys do, especially him. I don't know you that well, Steve, but you're like a brother too, just from talking here. But yeah, it's been a good life. And
yes,
thanks
sir.
again,
Well, listen,
sir, for being home, putting up with me.
Man.
Yeah.
And like I said, besides your time, I appreciate you're a fucking amazing dad because you raised a freaking stellar fireman, stellar man all the way around. He's probably the most kind-hearted guy I know, hands down. If we could ever convince him to promote to a suppression officer, he would be the best officer our city ever had. But we got to get him out of the back seat. So we'll see. One day, I'm going to keep working on him, but one day we'll be there. If not, he's going to be the most badass backseat senior fireman that the city's ever seen. So you did a great job. Your boy's fucking amazing. He's one of my best friends. So I appreciate him. I appreciate you. And then to the audience, thank you guys for listening and stay tuned. I'll tell you what, I don't know when it's coming, but round 2 for sure. We're going to call it The Calls That Made the Weiss. It's going to be freaking Kevin and the Joe show. I love it already. So stay tuned for that. And then we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.